Welcome traders, and in this video we're going to be looking at the trading levels and trading ranges. So in this video we're going to be looking at the trading ranges and trading zones, more commonly known as key levels in the Forex industry. We're going to look at how to actually place them and sort of correlate them with the certain chart. Okay, so here I'm on the Euro USD, so let's make sure that we're on the daily here. Let's actually go back to the weekly. So overall, trading levels are a good indication of where we can actually target. Now, newer traders, or especially when I come into the market, I was always placing zones as an actual pinpoint line. So I'd go into horizontal line, I'd pick out, for example, let's just say support, and I'd try and pinpoint a support at the very bottom. But we know that support and resistance, it doesn't always react at a pinpoint one price level. It's going to react in a small range area between two prices. So rather than have the pinpoint line here just going across one, it's super important to actually look at the ranges as a key level, like so here. You know, we can even pick up a little bit of that bottom here. So all this support here, support here, support here, support here. So we can actually class this as a range. And this is a zone here of support. The horizontal lines, I still use them because it's nice to actually, when it comes to targeting certain areas, it's nice to actually target a round level. For example, on the Euro USD, you know, when we recently come up to 1.2, if I was to actually put on a horizontal level here at the bottom, then we can see that it is near the 1.05. So if we could square that off and make it around key level, then that's more, it's easily to identify when it comes to actually breaking down the analysis and actually coming back to the chart in the future. 1.0500 is easier to remember than a bunch of other random numbers. So that's the kind of strategy that I use and have used for many years when it comes to actually identifying certain key levels and basically drawing onto the chart. So when it actually comes to plotting on the levels, it's always good to know the actual trend direction and the overall trade bias that you actually have in the market. Now, on the weekly, I'll have a set amount of key levels that I allocate for myself to actually place so the chart doesn't get too messy. Ideally, I like to use maybe 3 to 4 levels, so perhaps 2 support, 2 resistance zones on the weekly that are kind of significant for the price where it's at right now. So, you know, I might be looking at support area around maybe possibly here on the weekly. So this sort of area of support, this was resistance here. So I can take this as a key level zone here. So it's currently support because it is below the current market price. I'm actually going to just extend this all the way down to here because of this support here. But we could even scale this much further back, even with pinned here. And all of this here. So that's a key level zone area there. To the upside, we do have all of this sort of wick action here. If we look left, we can see the overall sort of resistance area here. And we could even pan it all the way back to here. We can see how useful these areas are when it comes to historical support and where the prices are going to head to in the future. So in this market, we can see just quickly visually, you know, I'm not here to analyze this chart, and also, you know, obviously do your own research when you are analyzing your USD. But here I can see higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and now potential new higher high. We're above the weekly 200 moving average, and we're also crossed to the upside on the shorter term moving averages there. So I would be anticipating a new high to form above this high. So if we're looking for a new high to form, then we can look left and we can actually see and try and identify the next areas where the market could come to when it comes to finding key levels on the chart. Now we can see here that we do have a bit of resistance here at this sort of wick area. Again, this is quite a volatile move here, so it's, if we can pan left and try and get a little bit more information, you know, these support areas here, then we can actually scale this all the way across, and this could actually be our next upside target zone that we could actually look for when it comes to actually identifying where the next higher high could be achieved. So it's quite simple. You know, a lot of traders may already know this when they're actually doing their own chart studies. But you know, you want to be keeping that range zone rather than a pinpoint key level. And as we go down, so let's go to the daily. Again, we're going to have more and more resistance levels, resistance zones, and it's always good just to neaten them up when you are on certain time frames. So yeah, I mean, obvious daily support here, obvious daily resistance here. So I like to keep the nearest and most relevant immediate upside and downside support resistant levels marked up on the chart, so I know where they are. So then could be, you know, these big visual boxes here are very useful, because obviously when you go into intraday time frames, such as a 4 hour, you know, we can easily see, you know, where they are in terms of looking for more shorter term analysis now, looking at where we could actually be placing trades, etc. And even on the 4 hour, we're going to have more levels of support and resistance. So this is a recent level here. However, it gets very, very choppy around here, and this is the kind of thing that you're going to be experiencing on the lower time frames. There's an obvious area of support here. That was resistance here, support, upon that 200 moving average. So we can see, you know, the areas which we're going to be looking for support and resistance. It's mostly the obvious, as I say, near term resistance support is what I like to plot onto the chart in order to sort of identify targets and areas where we're next going to be going to. But in this case, you know, I'd be looking for more bullish bias up in towards this zone here. So it's around the 1.2300 to 1.2340 is kind of the next upside zone, which was a daily, and then upon from that would be like 1.2800. And we've only got that information purely from the prior support and resistance zones, rather than you know, and we haven't really gone into detail regards to Fibonacci or any of the drawing tools or range heights, etc. We've just been looking at purely resistance and support ranges and zones.